Hey, what do you say, whole heads? It's an off the top of my head Taco Tuesday. Finn, the loudmouth for the ACO. Frank Ears already back out on the road. We got in last night from Canada around 11 o'clock, and he was back on the road up to the Northeast this morning at 6. So we've got a double dip weekend. We're going to talk about Legends. We're going to talk about PEI, Charlottetown, Canada. So strap in because this is going to be a good one, especially when we start focusing on where we're going this weekend, which, of course, is Spooky Nook in Hamilton. Our bag partners, as always, are rolling across the bottom of the screen. We've got a couple of, I put some more kind of darker Halloween, maybe themed kind of bags up front, some mystery bags and some kind of different things on there from some of our bag partners here up front. But again, everybody's scrolling across the bottom, an ACO approved bag partner. So watch for those stamps when you get out there and get them. If you were watching the stream this weekend from Legends, you saw all of that on YouTube. We're going to do our best this weekend from Spooky Nook to hit both YouTube and Facebook to give you as much cornhole coverage from Center Court and the CBC Center Court 1 as well. It's going to be a big 80 pros already because it is the first Pro Series Skins event of the season, and tickets are flying. So I'll remind you about something else. Well, I'll go ahead and remind you now. I'm talking about tickets to upcoming majors. The one that you want to make sure that you get, that is typically the one that will sell out, is that singles ticket. And now that you can go through Scoreholio and get your tickets per division, get in there and make sure that you get that singles ticket so you don't get shut out of singles. Doubles, we can accommodate tons of teams. All the other divisions, plenty of tickets typically are available there. It's that singles ticket, which is the one upon which we've based a lot of the sellouts, and we don't want anybody to get closed out, so get in there and get them early. We'll get into the upcoming majors here in just a moment, and a couple of welcome bashes as well. Social media, as I mentioned, make sure that you go to American Cornhole on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button there. Hit that little bell. You'll get updated on content when we're getting ready to start go live and all that sort of thing as well. The social media channels and, again, the videos that are being put together by Kim Jackson, both for both tournaments this past weekend, are exciting. They're fun to watch, and I think we're definitely giving tips of the hat where they belong, and it looks pretty cool in the process. So thanks to Kim for running point on that. Also, Monster Cornhole. We're going to have to get a new slide for that, too, because I got to get that push text number out of there since we don't do that right now through that system. So I got to get that out of there. So we'll get a new slide for that one. But it does remind you to hit us up on all of the usual channels, Instagram, so on and so forth. Monster Cornhole still rolling in Season 2, runs through the end of December. That's kind of rolling along, a great way for you to get some added folks to come in and get started with Cornhole, whether they decide to join the ACO or not. But it's a great opportunity to bring new players in from all of the different regions that you are locking down as certified official directors, or possibly a new certified official director, a couple of which we have garnered over just this past weekend, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And thanks to the respective crews as we get into the results. Ryan LaBelle, he had quite the odyssey getting to and from Legends, and thanks to Jonathan and his buddies from Big D for making everything work out for LaBelle. He's going to be joining us in Spooky Nook this weekend, but that whole crew, Russell taking everything that way, Dustin Arant for yeoman's work there, and you know what you're talking about. Appreciate that. It kept a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces for sure. But let's get into the results. In women's singles, congratulations to Lisa Hill over Ginger Hughes and Jamie Smith, continuing to work her way up those lists. She came in third in women's. In seniors, it was Scott-O-Matic, Scott Beck, a guy who I think has won every singles division that we've held at the Legends Bryan, Texas event over Steve Lewis and Frank Stockton, who came in third. In the juniors premier, it was Oliver Sertain over Coyote Rogers. I think Phil picked Coyote Rogers to win that one, but he got Lisa and he got Scott. In co-ed doubles at the time, I don't think he made a pick, but Jamie Smith and Drew Dixon took down Carrie Beth and Zach Mitchell. Congratulations there. In the blind draw quads, Coyote Rogers, Jamie Smith, Lisa Hill, and Stacy Van Gelder. How about that? There's a murderer's row right there over Chris Rogers, Brandon Lacewell, Tyler Goodwin, and Oliver Sertain. So that was probably a very hard fought. I didn't get to see that one, but that looks like that was a hard fought final there. And in the blind draw, Brandon Lacewell and Cade Blankenship took down Tyler Goodwin and Chase Lester. But congratulations, all you guys and gals. In world doubles in Tier 2, Riker Jackson and Nathan Vaught took the hardwood there. It was Jody Hyde and Tony Fiddler In World Doubles Tier 3 and Tier 4, Oliver Sertain and Dallas Scott take home the hardwood. And in Tier 5, Donnie Hornsby and Jeremy Lindley walked away with it by default. So congratulations there. In World Doubles, Scott Beck and Grant Upchurch, a team that you would have thought would have been vying for the title there, tied for 7th with Chris Gore and Tommy Smith. Alfredo Vasquez and Lake Ammons tied with Tyler Goodwin and Riley Din for 5th. Chase Lester and Levi Haddock. You would have expected maybe to see them in the champions bracket or in the champions final there, but they take 4th. Zach Harris and Drew Dixon 3rd. And it was Russell Tabers and Dustin Arant taking down World Doubles in Bryan, Texas over Mark Ford and Bryce Forbes. So congratulations to Russ and to Dustin. Nicely done. In singles, Tier 2, it was Tommy Smith over Stacy Van Gelder. Tier 3, Jeremy Lindley took home the hardwood there. In Tier 4, it was Cruz Lacoste. And in Tier 5, Chris Rogers comes out victorious in Tier 5. And how about this? Tied for 7th in singles, Jonathan Zarzinski from Big D tied with Scott Beck. So that's a big feather in Jonathan's cap, to be certain. And he's continuing to work towards that pro status. Lisa Hill ties with Riley Din in 5th. Dustin Arant takes 4th. Chase Lester takes 3rd place. And the battle royale took place between Tyler Goodwin and Levi Haddock. Levi Haddock comes out on top, as he has been doing a lot lately over the last couple of seasons when he rolls out. So congratulations to everybody in Bryan, Texas. I know it's always a good time. I know there were other big cornhole events going on around Texas as well. So as we continue to visit Bryan, Texas, we're going to work out scheduling to see what we can do to accommodate as many players as possible. I do recall watching in the stream. I did take a glance at the stream at one point, and I like the setup because in the background of the one end, you could see the bartender. And she looked like she was staying busy. Do you remember that the first time we went down to Bryan, Texas, there was a volleyball event there, and the parents were all there, and there was hundreds of volleyball players, and all the parents standing around, and they're like looking in our room, and they're like, "What's going on in here?" And so they would stick their head in and see what was going on with the cornhole there at Legends, and then they're like, "Is that a bar?" And they weren't allowed to have the bar open for the volleyball event, but they certainly did enjoy watching more cornhole than they probably expected to while hanging out at the bar at Legends with us. So a great facility. You're going to see one kind of exponentially built similar to the Legends facility this weekend. If you're coming out to Spooky Nook, if you've been there, you know for a fact in Hamilton there, and the hotel right next door is awesome. What a huge facility. But this is going to be rocking. We'll get to the pre-sale on that here in just a moment. But let's talk a little bit about Prince Edward Island in Charlottetown. I went up and actually ended up playing. And that's only the 3rd time I've ever played in any tournament, two of the Lifetimers events. And then this one, Tammy Williams, for whatever reason, thought it would be a good idea for us to play doubles together. So I apologized up front, and we played anyway. And, we had a good time, and that's all it was really about. And PEI, I'm telling you right now, this is not a sell job. This is not shilling. This is nothing but the truth. The numbers certainly could have been a lot bigger, but the Americans that made the trip enjoyed quite a bit of great food, great hospitality. There's cool stuff going all around downtown Charlottetown right there. The port is right there. There were 3 cruise ships that had stopped in. They had a huge annual outdoor festival that was part of the weekend, and just as picturesque as it can possibly be. And the other cool thing is, and I don't know if you'll see, I think you might see some of the video here in the slideshow, but the different ways to get there. I mean, we were originally scheduled to travel through Toronto, but we got rerouted through Montreal into Halifax. We drove from Halifax to Lawrencetown, where some of those beach shots that you saw, and then we drove from there into PEI onto the island, and it was just amazing. Then when we left, we found out about, instead of driving the 3.5 hours back to Halifax, there at Wood Island, there is a giant ferry, and that's how, there's ferries that hit all the different parts of PEI. But we took this one, we rolled on at 8:30 in the morning, let them do the driving across to Nova Scotia for about an hour and a half. We hopped in, drove back through to Halifax, and flew there to DC and back home. But there were direct flights out of Philly. Ian and Storm came in from Philadelphia and had a great time, and we'll definitely be back. And one of the exciting things about this, as we go through the results, you'll see obviously a lot of names that you would have expected. In fact, all names that you know. But just like the first trip over to the UK, the players from the States did a great job of supporting. And I would tell you, you've got to make plans to be part of the next one in May. We're going to be there for the next 3 years in September and May. And here's one of the reasons that I tell you, if you think people are just cherry picking majors, the small ones to go earn points or cash or whatever, everybody has the right to do whatever they want to do. But I'll tell you this is a trip that you will absolutely want to do more than once. Tammy and Junior came up and were awesome. Candler was there. Chad and Kim were there. Fergie was there in full effect. And Mike Walters came in as well. He had an issue with his bag. They ended up driving it 3.5 hours to get it back to him. And but we ran into them at the airport on the way back out. But there were a handful of players that came in, and a lot of people came in from around the community to look in and see. And every single person that came in, no matter their age, came in and went down to some of the boards and bags, and everybody threw and everybody talked about, this is going to be big here. And one in particular, and there was one group that came in, well, we had Luke and Felicia who came in from Newfoundland, I think. They drove 3 hours to come in and check it out, and they're interested in building cornhole. They build their own sets. They're interested in building cornhole in the Canadian provinces. But a young man named Zach rolled in, and maybe the most enthusiastic cornhole player I've ever met in my entire life. He brought in his better half, Maddie. She was awesome. They played. Their buddy O'Neill is his nickname because he was wearing an O'Neill shirt, and it made Frank crazy because he's like, I never knew about the O'Neill brand, and now I see it everywhere because of Heinerman. So we just nicknamed Fabio. We nicknamed him O'Neill. Great folks, and he is absolutely going to be working with the folks at the Eastlink Center to put together clubs, multiple clubs and events there at Eastlink, because they bought all the equipment and it just lives there now. So they can do stuff all year long, and they're going to keep continuing to build. So I think we're going to see this one go from here from a developmental standpoint to here very, very quickly. There was a guy from a lawn bowling association that came in and said, we're looking for something to do the 9 cold months out of the year. This looks like it would be perfect. So Eastlink and Zach and the guy from the lawn bowling, everybody's going to start building this out. We're going to be in constant communication with them. But trust me, you will love this tournament. A cool facility, a really great town. And man, you can get from one side of the island to the other in about 45 minutes to an hour, and about 3 hours if you wanted to go tip to tip, east to west. But we saw everything. Lighthouses, just gorgeous scenery, farmland as far as the eye could see. It was just unbelievable. And the exchange rate, you're going to like that as well. I think it was about $1.35 to a Canadian dollar. So your dollar goes a long way in PEI. And so yeah, it was, the people could not be nicer. We had a blast. The festival was awesome. I know that there are lots of different ways to get there, and getting there and getting home, you can go a couple different ways and make an experience out of it. Could not sell that hard enough. And High on the Hog Smoke and Barbecue was there. Gail and her crew making awesome food truck stuff for us throughout the course of the 2 days. And I think everybody was totally digging in on the food as well. Great food everywhere we went. And, you know, fish and chips. They had oysters. If you like raw oysters, you're probably eating, and I can't remember the name, it begins with an M, but there's a certain type of oyster that is one of the main exports out of Prince Edward Island. I didn't know that. But yeah, if you're eating oysters anywhere around the country, they're probably coming out of PEI. That and new potatoes are a big thing there as well. So you learn a little bit about what's going on in PEI. And thanks to John and Trent and Maddie and Stu and Bobby and Russell and their whole crew. Everything was set up when we got there. They broke it all down. Got to watch the hockey team practice for a while. It was really cool. And it really, really, really was a lot of fun. And they took me to a surprise dinner the last night we were there, to a place simply called Finn. It's the name of the restaurant. I don't know if you can see that on my hat. But yeah, I had to buy a hat. In fact, I almost shoplifted it because I put it on like this while we were eating, and I almost forgot to pay for it on the way out. But I did. I did pay for it. So anyway, no shoplifting by your boy. Let's talk a little bit about the results in Canada. Again, none of this is going to surprise you unless it does. Women's singles. Surprise, Kim Jackson. No surprise. She took down Tammy Williams, who keeps saying, I'm not playing very well. She's actually playing pretty well. is Tammy Williams. But Kim Jackson, congratulations on the women's championship. Junior Williams takes down Willie Johns, who was also there, and I meant to mention him a little while ago because he gave me some tips while I was throwing, and I don't think I was able to follow any one of them, but he does. He did give me a new phrase. So, Philip, if you're watching, whenever you say there it is, I'm supposed to say in contrast whenever it's not what someone wanted to do, there it ain't. And that's a Willie Johnsism, and he wants ownership of it. Mike Walters comes in third. He was my nemesis all weekend long. I drew him for the first match every time I played or ended up playing him in doubles. He whipped me like a rented mule multiple times. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. In the co-ed, Kim and Chad Jackson took down Tammy and Junior. Felicia and Luke, who I mentioned before, who came in from Newfoundland, took third. In the blind draw quads, Junior, Aaron Candler, Willie Johns, and Tammy Williams, a stacked team, took down Felicia Brown, Frank Gears, Zach Lamont, and Chad Jackson. John Abbott, Kim Jackson, Mike Walters, and Luke Dinyard came in third place. In the blind draw, Chad Jackson and Gary Ferguson took it home. Willie Johns and Junior Williams come in second there in third place. Kim Jackson and Mike Walters. We didn't run tier play. We basically just ran our doubles and singles brackets while we were there. And in world doubles, how about this? Tied for seventh, Felicia Brown and Luke Dinyard. Tied for seventh with Tammy Williams and her partner, me. So I think alphabetically we came in a little bit higher there. Frank Gears, Aaron Candler. Oh, I'm sorry. Felicia and Luke were seventh. Tammy and I tied with Frank and Aaron for fifth. Then again, it was a lot of fun. It was just about being there and having fun, and it was. And I'm going to tell you some more about the facility here in a moment. Gary Ferguson and Willie Johns, that is a formidable team, but they came in fourth. Junior and Mike Walters third, and then it came down to Chad Jackson and Kim Jackson against Ian Stokel and Storm Hogg. Ian and Storm came out on top. Those guys were throwing gas all weekend long, so congratulations. And in world singles, Ian Stokel comes in seventh, tied with Chad Jackson. Willie Johns and Mike Walters tied for fifth. Fergie, who I believe Phil picked last week, comes in fourth. Junior Williams throwing great all weekend, comes in third. He would tell you differently, but he did throw great. Storm Hogg fights to get up against Kim Jackson, and in one match she finishes off and she takes home singles for Canada as well. So congratulations to Kim. Again, what a facility. This Eastlink facility has the area where we played, the hockey rink attached to it on the backside, harness racing track, and a casino, all right in the same complex. And you couldn't, and with the food truck there, you couldn't have asked for anything more. Walkable to the hotel. I walked less than a mile to my hotel because the weather was so nice to and from. On Saturday, we stayed at the Arts Hotel, which is right there in the middle of everything. So we'll have great deals put together for you when we head back in May. Please mark this on your calendar. I promise you will not be disappointed. So let's talk about where we're going now that we've talked about where we've been. And again, thanks to everyone both at Legends and Bryan, Texas, and also PEI Charlottetown. John and Trent, we couldn't have asked for better hospitality, and we know that everybody at Legends had a great time. This weekend, the whole crew, the only person who's not going to be at this one, I think, is Frank, because he's traveling. He's off to a wedding. But anybody and everybody associated with getting the ACO set up and rolling is going to be at Spooky Nook this weekend. This is going to be a beauty. 80 pros to come in and play for the first Pro Series skins, and tickets are flying as of the last couple of days. So make sure that you don't get shut out. Grab that singles ticket. The hotel right there is in the old mill building. If you've been there, you know. If you don't, you're going to love it. Everything's right there, self-contained. A couple of miles in, you're going to find all kinds of cool stuff downtown Hamilton, Ohio, at the first of two Spooky Nook Majors, this one in Hamilton, the other one in Pennsylvania, the original Spooky Nook coming up. But it's going to be big fun. We can't wait to see you in Hamilton, Ohio. So let's talk a little bit about some more upcoming majors. Obviously, Spooky Nook, followed up by the Medford Major. There's still time, and again, waiting for the West Coasters to really dig in and dive in. I saw Darren they have a new Southern Oregon Cornhole group and a California Cornhole group that they're working with, and they've got more tournaments planned out in the Medford way. There at the Rogue X, going to be awesome. And I would tell you something, between PEI and as we talked about last week with Tahoe, and then you go up into Oregon, and Crater Lake and everything, the areas. We are going to some of the most beautiful spots in North America, this being one of them. So don't miss out October. This is the first of 2 Medford Majors, and we have the Welcome Bash there at the Rogue X. So that Thursday night, you'll be ready to roll. Speaking of Welcome Bashes, just now added to Scorholio, the Albertville Major at Sand Mountain Park, Albertville, Alabama. That has a Welcome Bash tournament that you can now get registered for. That is also October 10th and 11th. So get in there and don't miss out on that one. Hotel information is there as well. But yeah, there's going to be a Welcome Bash at the event center the Thursday night beforehand, and it is in Scorholio. Salt Lake City is the following weekend. That major at the Salt Palace Convention Center, October 17 and 18. That one's on sale. And then also that same weekend, not just Salt Lake City, but Kansas City. And this one being hosted, the Basement Bags is going to run the stream. Magnum and his crew have put together a Welcome Bash, and this one's called the Fuel House Rocks Welcome Bash. I got Frank like that because it sounded like Schoolhouse Rock, and that shows you how old we are, if you have any idea what I'm talking about. But the bottom line is the Fuel House is like this killer venue that has like kick-ass cars and an automotive theme, but a bar, restaurant, the whole thing. And that is going to be, I think doors are going to be at 5, bags fly at 7, all kinds of chances to buy in and come out and be part of what is going to be an awesome Welcome Bash. There's a promo that's coming together you'll see here in the next day or so to give you a little bit of a look into what this is all about at the Fuel House Rocks. But know that the Kansas City Major, that home field Kansas City Showcase Center, is going to have that Welcome Bash at the Fuel House. Following that, we've moved the La Crosse, Wisconsin Major back. It's going to run October 31st, November 1st, so Halloween weekend at the La Crosse Center there in Wisconsin. So our northern players, there's a great opportunity, first opportunity, really, the first of a couple within a month to gravitate towards. It'll be closer to home for you. And then we're back to the West Coast, out west, SoFi Upland, California, November 7th and 8th. All of those tickets are on sale November 14 and 15. It's Tupelo and Pocatello, both happening that same weekend, November 21 and 22, the ACO Mannheim Major. That's the other Spooky Nook at the original facility there in Mannheim. And then November 21st and 22nd, that same weekend, we're also going to be just outside Vegas proper, Weston Lake, Las Vegas Major there in Henderson, Nevada. And from everything I've heard, you're going to love this facility. Just amazing. Can't wait to get back out into the high desert. November 28 and 29, an old favorite, one you've probably circled on your calendar already. You kind of know it's coming. Thanksgiving weekend. That's going to be ACO South Bend. And then we are heading out in December for the first of, or actually the Fresno Fairgrounds. We're going to be December 5 and 6 in Fresno, then back to Dallas. So you can see, man, we're just popping points all over the map. North America, we're going to be announcing the dates for the next UK major. And again, I just want to go back into saying we build these things sometimes very slowly, sometimes bigger. I mean, there were some in Tennessee. I know the CBC boys are tied into the Tennessee majors, and those jumped really quickly and built into powerhouse majors there. Clarksville is the one that I'm specifically referencing. For instance, we're going to be playing at a bigger facility in Clarksville, so more opportunities for more to play. But everything has to start someplace. And the hospitality that we received and the welcome that we received as the American Cornhole Organization in Canada is absolutely one you want to put on your calendar. I'm going to go to every one, whether I play or we stream or whatever. I just loved it up there. I really did. And the next time I can get out to Medford prior to going out there for the World Championships, absolutely going to get back out there. And there's a couple in Florida. We've got a new CO director and her husband, who's a bag maker, who's just come on board. We're going to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on with her and her business and how that might have a little something to do as a sponsor for the ACO, could help you out in a big way. So a lot of cool stuff going on. The most recent and the newest one, the coolest thing is this weekend, the Pro Series Skins, first one of the season. Can't wait to get to Spooky Nook. We do have a couple of other pieces of business, though, because we saved this shot of the week from Atlantic City. Whole Nation put this together for us, and we appreciate Tracy and Rich, of course, as always. And this is a shot of the week that really involves two shots that become shot of the week, and I'll let Rich tell you all about it.
Thanks, Finn and Frank. Welcome to this segment brought to you by Hole Nation. I'm your host, Rich Pyle. I'm going to show you a cornhole shot from a recent tournament. A pivotal shot, a game-changing shot, a shot you don't get to see every day. Check out this shot of the week.
This shot of the week comes to us from the Atlantic City Major, where Isaac Hurt and Jacob Bagley are battling for the Juniors Championship. Jacob is cutting some stinky cheese with this cut shot and follows it up with this effortless roll bag. Gonna have to keep an eye out for this kid. Great shots, Jacob.
Thanks for watching this week's Shot of the Week. Now let's turn it back over to the Taco Show with Frank and Finn at the ACO World Headquarters. Frank, Finn?
Yeah, it was a couple of really great shots that comprised the Shot of the Week coming out of Atlantic City. And congratulations. Jacob had a great showing in Atlantic City. So really cool stuff. It's always great to be able to highlight and showcase some of those great shots that were made at opportune times. We saw a lot of that both in Dallas and in Canada, and looking forward to seeing a lot more of those as we get through the rest of the season. Now, this might be a little bit controversial because we're getting ready to go into the picks for the weekend. As we've mentioned, the ACO family, we're having our reunions, but we're also having some homecomings and we're welcoming some new folks into the family. How is that going to translate at one of the biggest majors that we have all year this weekend in Hamilton at Spooky Nook? You've heard us talk about some new names. You've heard us welcome home some names, some former Kings of Cornhole. I believe all 6 Kings of Cornhole are going to be in Hamilton this weekend. But some of those new faces and some of the homecoming returning faces in all different divisions are going to be part of what we're doing. So the question becomes, all the names that you've become used to seeing at the top of each of these lists, where do they fall in Philip Barnett, the Mississippi Ninjas cast of characters, and in his brain with regard to his picks? Before we get to them, I will sign off. Thank you to everybody who made the trip to PEI. Can't wait to see the next batch coming in. That one's going to blow up. I'm telling you. I promise you. Thanks everybody that was part of everything that happened in Legends. Great weekend there. Big D, appreciate you guys, Zarzinski, and everybody associated with Big D. Looking forward to what's coming, and you should absolutely check this out and see what you think. I'm Finn, the loudmouth for the ACO. On behalf of Frank Gears, the cornhole dude who's heading back to the Northeast for a big wedding weekend, we'd like to remind you, before we get to the picks here with the Mississippi Ninja and Time to Fill, keep on pitching.
Welcome to another episode of Time to Fill. This week we are headed north to Cincinnati, Ohio, Hamilton, Ohio, Spooky Nook, one of the best buildings we play in. Let's get started. In women, I'm going to go with Cheyenne Bubehind coming to the ACO, but watch out for Kim Jackson and McKenna Kopp here. In juniors, I'm going with Isaac Hurt. In seniors, a returning Damon Dennis will take this field down, but watch out for Terry Mathis and Brian Higginbotham, who's playing really well right now. In co-ed, I'm going to go with the team of Cheyenne Bubehind teaming up with Jeremiah Ellis. What a team that's going to be right there. And in doubles, I'm going to go with the Hurts, but watch out for Kobe Baskin, Zach Dawson, Cody Brewer, Nate Stevens. This field is loaded. And in singles, I'm going to go with Caleb Hurt. That's right, Caleb Hurt to take this field down. And in the Pro Series, I'm going with Braden Easterling, who thrives on the Pro Series. And that's going to be my picks this week for Time to Fill. If you think I should pick you, prove me wrong.
Hi, I'm Rich Pyle, the host of Hole Nation, where we share everything this cornhole and a lot more. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and catch our new videos every Wednesday at 7. And remember, whether it's sticky or slick side down, bring it.